if you are going to just take a paycheck, you don't feel like a builder anymore. You feel like you're an employee. That builder in me, that entrepreneur in me, had to be accepted for who I am and what I do. My name's AMA, or at least those are my initials. That's what I'm known as in Web3. I started as an art director. So I worked in big agencies in New York for the early part of my career. When I started working for Gary Vee, he took me out of my role, which was a creative director, and he put me into this role where I was more on the business side and the content side. He convinced me to leave advertising to start Will.it. It was a family planning tool where you could take pictures of your stuff and let the family openly fight over it while you're still here. But I had to make a hard decision to put it on hold because I didn't have enough funding to bring it to market. And then I transitioned from being a founder back to being a marketer. But this time, after being a founder, I realized that I wanted to help small businesses rather than work for the big brands of the world. So when I went back to marketing, I decided to be a fractional marketing director for small businesses and founders so that I could really be part of the building and feel like the contributions I was making are really going to help somebody, really help guide them through these early days of development. So I did that, but it was very fleeting. Sometimes I had a lot of work, sometimes I didn't have enough work. I felt I wasn't making an impact when I'm just able to give 10 hours a week was the maximum I had for a client. I wasn't fulfilled. So I said, I'm going to entertain the idea of going back to a full-time role, but it had to check some boxes. And how I found the team that I'm on, what appealed to me about it, it really spoke to the builder in me. Like being alongside the CPO and the CTO from the start. And it's been so amazing to be seeing the product develop from its infancy. I feel a great sense of accomplishment when I see the progress and I see users telling us how much they love it, how much they see the vision for what we're building. It definitely ticks that builder button that I needed and gives me the tools because I'm not funding this out of my own pocket. It aligns with my own vision and goals within the ecosystem. I wanted something that was going to just benefit the Web3 space in general. I found that with 𝗕𝗧𝗧 because they're building something that will help both crypto natives and people that aren't familiar or crypto curious. This will help them not just to be able to transact, but to find something interesting. So if you combine discovery, smart wallet, and I feel like I'll be able to give it to my sister, give it to my mother, and I won't have to worry about explaining to them what MetaMask is and what you should do, what you shouldn't do. When we're looking at who our competitors are and where we really want to be in the ecosystem, we're not sitting side by side of MetaMask. We feel like we're in our own category, trying to build something different. We're trying to solve the problems that the ecosystem itself isn't solving. So yeah, I don't see us as a smart wallet, even though at a base level, we saw the smart wallet as our first step that needs to do the transactions in order to do anything else. The first thing we're trying to do is really make that wallet experience better than anything else that's out there. So I made the shift. I'm now head of marketing at 𝗕𝗧𝗧𝗧. I've been with 𝗕𝗧𝗧𝗧 for almost a year. I was one of the first members of the leadership team. I built the marketing teams. Currently, I have a community lead, a marketing manager, a content designer, and I have a designer and a partnerships manager. I feel very lucky to have these team members with me. I still am very much a generalist and roll up my sleeves. One minute I'm mocking up a meme, and the next minute I'm building out a funnel and a campaign strategy. That's part of the beauty of working at a startup.
How does the experience compare to trying to start your own thing? Obviously, you have a steady paycheck and you aren't the one dealing with investors. There's resources, a team. Does it feel different when you actually don't have as concrete ownership over the business?
I think that's a really important question to answer for anybody who needs to make that decision, because if you are going to just take a paycheck, you don't feel like a builder anymore. You feel like you're an employee. Part of it for me was that builder in me, that entrepreneur in me, had to be accepted for who I am and what I do. And that was part of why they thought I was a good fit for the role. I had funds for my own startup and knew what it was like to be a founder and try to find product market fit and all of that background. For me, I needed to feel I was building for something that I feel I am a part of. And I have a founder mentality for PassApp. Like what I'm building has value within the ecosystem. What I'm building has value for me. They incentivize me as a builder on the team, which I think is important.
You were building Angry Mods for Web3 community moderators, right? Is that still a live Discord or is it shuttered now?
I closed it. The very last message I put out was that I'm hiring for PassApp. Come join our community. It was hard with the work that I'm doing now. I have so little spare time that the spare time I do have, I want to use learning. I joined a lot of AI incubators and boot camps. I'm going to be in SheFi. So I'm excited about being able to use that time to really help myself be immersed in the communities that exist. It's the only way that you can really be present within the ecosystem and understand the users. I wasn't giving time to angry mods, so I made the hard decision to shut down the Discord.
How did that experience compare to stopping work on Will It?
Stopping work on Will It was definitely one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because I still believed in the product and what it could actually be, not just as something to give back to the world, but to actually have a solid business model. But I found out the hard way that I don't want to be a CEO. I don't have it in me. It was very outside of my own DNA to be doing financial projections, doing the raises, managing my cap table and my term sheets. I'm a creative, I'm a marketer, I'm a brand builder, I'm a community builder. So I'm proud of myself for doing those things and pushing myself out of my box to experience that and raise some funds. But man, running a business is really hard, and you have to have the venture to set yourself up for success. And I think at that point in my career, when I had just left advertising, Gary Vee was the one who convinced me I needed to put my all into building this product and take a risk. And if it didn't work out, I would have the experience. And that's exactly what happened for me. If somebody is afraid to leave a full-time job and go and build something, that is a real place where you need to take a moment and say, do I have enough capital to sustain myself and build this for a year? If the answer is no, make it a side hustle and try to do it where you still got a safety net, you're still bringing in your income. I think it would have been harder for me to do that, especially since once I get into something, I'm all in and it becomes my mission to reach my goals and make it happen. It's a hard thing. And, there's implications for people that have families and things like that. You have to approach it in a way where you're not putting yourself in a risky position. It's the same thing with investing in coins. Like, don't put any money into it that you're not willing to lose. So I would say to anyone who is grinding the full-time job and maybe isn't sure whether they should go and try a business idea, you absolutely should go and try that business idea. Just give yourself that net. So there's flexibility and you're not putting yourself in a bad position.
We talked last time about Will It potentially being resurrected if you found the right people to do it with. I'm imagining you want to see PassApp through to a certain stage. If the right time came and right scenario, what would be the scenario?
Probably would need to have an exit of some sort, a financial safety net that would give me the ability to go back into founder mode. At the moment, I am very much in founder mode with PassApp, and my success is tied to the success of this brand and of this product. I would love to build something of my own. I'm somebody that constantly has ideas. I have my little idea book of like, here's like 10 things I would love to build. And when that time comes, I will resurrect it because it's a great product. It needs to be built. I may not be the one that builds it though.
I really hope you get a chance to build some of your ideas and see will it launch someday. Wondering, now that you've found a team that you love working with, is there a feature or aspect of this Pass App team that you wish existed at more startups?
The one thing that kind of blows me away about my team, and this may not be something that exists a lot in the ecosystem, but we're funded by our ventures team. The ventures team is like an incubator, kicks off Onchain Foundation. Lisk is also part of that same ecosystem. There's probably 100 or so employees within those three companies, and they did a retreat in Morocco at the end of last year where there were 80 of us. You like went camping in the desert for 9 days. It was unbelievable, like once in a lifetime kind of opportunity. They did this team building where I was with not just my own team at PassApp, but with the ventures team, the list team, which fostered this level of collaboration that doesn't really exist in Web3. And the ventures team allows that collaboration between our three companies to happen. Follow us on social. You'll see how we're family, like we all know each other and lift each other up and help each other in our businesses. The Web3 ecosystem doesn't do that enough, in my opinion. If we weren't tied together by ventures, I don't know that we would have the relationship that we do. It's hard to build relationships in the ecosystem that are that tight knit. Partnerships are such a big part of it. That part of it was really important for me.
Cool, because that's part of our vision for Venture to the X. We want to get to the place where we can incubate multiple projects that have a shared upside, but are independent projects themselves. So that's really cool to hear, just the feeling of a family between
Different companies that aren't zero sum.
I like what you're saying though about helping other companies come together. When you're a small company, you haven't found product market fit, you haven't gotten to positive revenue, you need all the help you can get. When you work for a startup, if you bring a passion for a variety of things and you can be a bit of a generalist, you're going to be given lots of responsibilities. All you need to do is raise your hand and say, hey, I'd be willing to help out with Twitter Spaces. All of a sudden, you're going to be in charge of Twitter Spaces. Startups are a great place for young professionals because you're given a lot of flexibility and freedom, and they love people that take initiative. If you're eager and you're reliable, those are two things that will help you thrive. I think back to how many years I spent fine tuning my own approach to things based on how other people wanted me to act. I wish I would have stepped away from that culture earlier, because a startup culture is one where you really can be a chameleon. You get to wear a lot of hats. They encourage growth and experimentation. That's something that you don't find as much in a corporate culture. So that adaptability in mindset, not being so tied to something like, I just want to do this one thing, but I'm not going to do anything else. You know, you're all working towards a common goal. You're all working together. So like you each bring your own areas of expertise. It's bad when you're in a culture where the loudest voice or the most senior voice is the only one that gets heard. In the right startup culture, you are helping your team to be more curious and fluid in the way that you go about your work. So adaptability is a big one. Curiosity is another one because the industry changes so much. If you're curious, all you need to do is ask an agent which agent you need. And it'll point you in the right direction. It's really all about like just knowing what the right questions are to ask and finding your path. Anybody can do anything these days if you have a mission and the will to do it. Culture is a big part of it. I can't imagine being successful in my role if I didn't engage in the ecosystem outside of what I do every day. Like the best education is participation. Getting out there and being around other people and understanding what questions they have and what challenges they have, and being able to collaborate and find other like-minded people like yourself that just keep you coming back every day with that curious mindset is really important. If you're in a position where you're coming to work every day, bored out of your mind, that's my worst nightmare.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love talking to you guys, and you always have great questions for me. And like last time, I kind of come out of this with this great energy for the space and being a builder. When we all got back in touch, I was like, oh, I'm not a builder anymore. But I am. I think I lost sight of that for a moment. This all kind of brings it full circle and really helped me realize that I'm as much a builder today in my role, even more so probably.